Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
And here we go.
Live from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, welcome to episode 99 of the Confirmed Epic Podcast, a podcast that has weathered many storms to get to the precipice of episode 100. I'm one of your hosts, the real Brad Bell, and joining me tonight from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina is not just a friend, but a partner, Jerry Reed, also known as
Barbecue 17. Hey everybody, what's going on?
Jerry, it's great to have you back on the podcast. It's been a couple weeks, my friend, because Abby filled in for the Jurassic Park 3 review, and that was your pick,
I
man.
know. So I really want to talk about it. It's actually my third favorite Jurassic Park movie.
I've talked enough Jurassic Park to get me through the rest of 2018, I think. And then last week we had the confirmed crap, so that was kind of a filler because Abby and I were out of town, but we're glad to be recording live again on YouTube tonight on a Thursday night. And we have some very special plans for episode 100 next week and the podcast moving forward. I'm going to tease those now, and if you stay tuned with us, I will reveal those over the course of the show and reveal them in full toward the end of the show. But Jerry, how have you been doing in general? Everything going pretty good?
Yeah, I've been doing all right overall. Checking out lots of stuff. So just got done watching the Hurricane Heist and just got done watching the Titans trailer. So
yeah, which we'll talk about in Epic News. But without further ado, let's get into what we've been checking out this week.
Check checklist? Check. Double checking of checklist? Check.
Okay, Jerry Reed, what have you been checking out this week? And I think we've been checking out many
We've been checking out a lot of stuff. Maybe it's been more than a week since I checked it out, because so y'all know me, I am a notoriously slow TV watcher. Like, I rarely watch through TV shows.
That is true.
I will tell you, the last show, I think I binge watched it. If the fact that I watched all 10 episodes in under a week is binge watching, then I binge watched season 2 of Glow.
That's binge watching for you, maybe not for somebody like Andrew.
Yeah,
Stokes.
For me that was some binge watching. I watch TV shows, but I don't watch a lot of TV, I guess, and I absolutely love Glow. Now, I really like professional wrestling. I've gotten into it like the last 5 years or so, 5 or 6 years, but
Yeah, because if you go back and listen to old episodes, you're like, I have no idea who these wrestlers are. And now Jerry holds pay-per-view get-togethers in his home.
We have a belt, and my wife now holds the title after Extreme Rules 2018. She got the most...
Tell us about this belt. How do you win it?
Okay, so if you come to one of our pay-per-view, our wrestling, pay-per-view events for WWE, what you have to do is before each match, you're supposed to pick who you want to win. And then we go through...
Not who you think's going to win, but who you want to win?
So that's how it originally started, because otherwise, I don't know, we try to discourage meta thinking. It's just so much more fun if you go into it absolutely just pretending it's real. And so we go into it.
Wait, it's not real?
Oh no, it's totally real. It's totally real. But anyways,
like R-E-E-L.
There's some rumors going around. I don't know. So, anyways, we go through and, during the match, you pick, who you think's going to win the match. And sometimes we do different things. Like if it's a Royal Rumble, we may do our top 5. Or if it's something like Money in the Bank, we may be, do your, first elimination chamber. We may do like, who's going to be the first eliminated, who's going to get the first elimination, who's going to win. But we go through and get points, and at the end of the night, whoever has the most points gets the belt. If you tie with the champion, then, the champion retains their title, because if you want to be the man or woman, you got to beat the man or woman. So, and my wife is currently the champion, and it went into the last match of Elimination Chamber. Or excuse me, I was talking about Elimination Chamber. It went into the last match of Extreme Rules, which I don't know that these rules are as extreme as they used to be, but it was pretty good show overall. But my wife won because I was pulling for Seth Rollins and she was pulling for Dolph Ziggler in a 30-minute Iron Man match, and it went into sudden death overtime.
Whoa! An Iron Man match is only 30 minutes. This used to be an hour.
This was a 30-minute Iron Man match. So,
okay. But
you have to realize there were 12 other matches on the main card. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a big show. So, but I thought it was pretty good overall.
It's a big
lots
show.
of surprises. Big Show did not show up. But anyways, so my wife is now we call ourselves the WWE, the Watchers of WWE. So she's the current
That sounds like a potential podcast.
She is currently the WWE champion. So.
All right, Jerry, so you've been checking out Glow. This show's had critical acclaim. Andrew Stokes talked about it last year when it came out. It has Allison Brie in it, who I know this podcast is a big fan of for numerous reasons. And you say it just gets better in season 2. This show revolves around basically a women's wrestling program, right? And they're kind of progressing and upgrading as they are together longer. And you were telling me some stuff about this season. It just sounded
the
really
first
fun.
season was a producer and a director trying to create a women's wrestling show and working towards filming a pilot. In the second season, they have been picked up and they're trying to figure out like how a first season's going to go. They're filming a first season. They're filming, titles and figuring out how the market's going to receive them. They're dealing with publicity. They're dealing with, studio interference of putting new people in and, wanting some people taken out. So what's interesting is on one level, there is a whole lot of wrestling in the show. There is there's one episode of this season that is completely like you're watching an in-universe episode of the show.
See, that's very
it's
cool.
Very
I guess
cool.
they intended it to be
yes,
that way, right?
But then there's also like all of the backstage kind of stuff about them creating characters or, again, them figuring out like what works and what doesn't, or something goes horribly wrong during a show and everybody's having to scramble to figure out, okay, what do we do, where we go from there. So it is kind of a show about making a show, which is entertaining as well, but it's also a show about making a wrestling show. So it's a completely different type of situation, and I really like it. It captures an 80s vibe nicely without overdoing it. The show still completely stands on its own. Even excuse me, even if it weren't like a production that takes place in the 80s.
So Jerry, if you're not a wrestling fan, like if this was you 5-6 years ago, would you still enjoy this show?
I think you would. I think you could still really enjoy it. I'm guessing lots of the critical acclaim is coming from people who are not wrestling fans because it has really strong performances. It's a comedy with some dramatic elements to it. So it's very funny, but not in a slapstick kind of way. But it's very entertaining, and you have lots of characters and. Again, just one of those shows where the character interactions are always really appealing, that the dialogue is as interesting as you might say, like kind of the action scenes where something is happening.
Well, Jerry, speaking of something that didn't have much dialogue, so on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, I got to check out Quiet Place this week. I had highly anticipated
I really
want
to see this movie.
Well, I'll be glad to let you borrow it. And we were going to review it on the podcast later on this year, and who knows, we still might for hokey Halloween stuff, but we're changing the format up, so we'll see if that happens. So I went ahead and it arrived in the mail when we were on vacation. Those of you that don't know, A Quiet Place is a horror film that is written, directed, and starring John Krasinski, most famously Jim from The Office, and it stars Emily Blunt. So the premise of this film is there's been an alien invasion, and these aliens who look like an amalgamation of all these, like, a mix between Aliens and the alien from Independence Day and the alien from the TV show Fallen Skies.
Interesting.
They great looking aliens, and how they were designed, especially their head, because they can't see. All they can do is sense sound.
I didn't realize it was an alien movie.
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't, but that's revealed within the first 2 or 3
yeah.
minutes. They really didn't give that away in the trailer. It was just, there's some threat involved if there's any noise made. That's what the trailer was predicated on. So these aliens sense sound, so if you make a peep, they kill you. Well, John Krasinski, having this survivalist mentality, has kept his family alive. He is on a farm. I don't know if it was their farm or not, if it's something they just inherited because of this alien apocalypse. But, man, Jerry, I think this is my favorite movie as far as movies that came out in 2018 so far. It's shot brilliantly. I think this is John Krasinski's second movie directing. He directed an indie movie, I think. I can't recall it off the top of my head. But considering this is a new filmmaker, absolutely gorgeous. He set up a warning system in which there's lights. Kind of sounds like Stranger Things here in a way.
Yeah.
But he's got lights rigged up all around this farm, and if they're ever in danger, they can flip that switch, and it lights everything up red. And that made for some great shots. There's an incredible action set piece scene in a grain silo. Again, I'm not going to give any of this away, because this just came out on home video, and I highly recommend it. But man, the first 5 to 10 minutes were so intense and some of the best filmmaking I've seen all year. And Jerry, it's a film with a lot of stakes, a lot of heart, and a lot of emotion. So it checks off like all the real Brad Bell hallmarks for a movie that I'll enjoy. Is it horror? Yeah, but it's more horror elements than it is outright horror. And I highly recommend it. So I know The Quiet Place has been, critically praised. It's got like well over 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I just can't wait to see where John Krasinski's filmmaking career goes. And Emily Blunt's awesome, but he outshines
He's married.
her.
They're married, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're married in real life. So obviously that chemistry's there. One of their children is deaf. So that plays a pivotal role in the plot. I'm not going to give it away, but he does some clever things as far as building suspense involving her deafness that didn't seem generic cliche in any way. So that's A Quiet Place, and that's out on home video now. Jerry was talking about Glow, and I forgot to mention, of course, that's out on Netflix now.
It's a Netflix streaming series.
Jerry, what else you been checking out, my friend?
Well, another thing I've been checking out is so I finally found an NES Classic Mini. I finally found one.
I heard that.
I've been looking for one for the better part of 2 years, and I finally found it.
Where did you find it?
I found it at the Target in Gastonia.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Was there just one?
No, there were a couple of them sitting there. So, sounds like Nintendo has sent out a new batch, because they originally sent out just a few and were like, oh, we didn't realize it was going to be very popular, which seems kind of, naive on their part.
They always do that, don't they?
Oh, Nintendo, you're so cute. And then, anyways, though, this is their second batch. But I got the Super NES Classic for Christmas, this past Christmas. And so currently, me and my little one, we have been just going nuts playing Nintendo. We have reintroduced, when I was a kid, me and my dad would do on like Friday nights what we called the Nintendo playoffs, and we would just play Nintendo really late. And so this past Friday, I told my little one, I was like, if you do good all week and go to bed on time, and go to bed after this, we can stay up late Friday. And so we stayed up pretty late Friday night playing Castlevania and Castlevania 4 and Secret of Mana on Super Nintendo and a couple other games. But oh my gosh, my child is nuts about Street Fighter. We have been playing Street Fighter constantly, Street Fighter 2. And so we have it on the SNES Classic, but I have 2 or 3 versions of it on my original Super Nintendo, which is sitting over here. And
Jerry, who is your favorite character to play with, and who is Allie, your daughter's favorite?
My favorite character to play as is probably Chun-Li or Ryu, and my daughter's is probably Chun-Li or Dhalsim. She loves.
Is there a character? There's a character named Bison on Street Fighter.
M. Bison. That's the guy that Raul Julia plays in the movie, who has all the great lines.
Yeah. Come out from behind the curtain. You
that's
little
Jean-Claude Van Damme says that to him.
Oh, okay. So I was confused.
Yeah,
I thought Jean-Claude Van Damme played Bison.
No, Jean-Claude Van Damme is Guile, who's the the American military guy. And so that's Jean-Claude Van Damme in the movie, and Raul Julia is M. Bison. So, but anyways,
sounds like
we've been playing some Street Fighter all the time, and I gotta tell you, it's really funny. It's really funny when you really start getting this stuff that your kid gets into. That you were into, because I was into Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2 was huge when I was a kid, in the early 90s, probably around 9.
You were at that age. You were at the perfect age.
I was like 9, 10, it was getting like a really big deal, 11, and it was one of those things that kind of was like, it's pretty cool. Street Fighter 2 was always pretty cool. And but she's totally into it, and so we've been having battles and playing and I found my original player's manual that has like how to pull off all the moves and stuff, and of course she did the exact same thing that I did as a kid. She started looking at the moves in the book and trying to do them in real life. So she's like practicing dragon punches and trying to throw fireballs in the living room and stuff, and so we have been having a blast with it. And Dhalsim does this little victory dance that she tries to emulate and does a pretty good job of. So now whenever something's going her way, she busts out a Dhalsim dance, or she does Chun-Li's Yatta. So Street Fighter 2 has once again invaded my home.
Does it come with a duck hunt gun where you can play duck hunt?
It does not. So the NES Classic does not have any of the peripherals with it except the controller. It has 30 games on it. You can't add any more games. It has 30 games that are set on there, and Duck Hunt is not one of them.
But it has all the Marios that were on
it. Has,
right?
Super Mario 1, 2, and 3, and then it has the original Mario, Mario Brothers, and then it has Dr. Mario on the NES Classic.
So you get your fill of Mario.
Yeah, you get quite a few of those on there. Now, what drives me crazy, though, is it has Castlevania and Castlevania 2, and then the Super has Castlevania 4, but it doesn't have Castlevania 3, which was an NES exclusive as well. So it's crazy that's not on there.
Missing in action.
Double Dragon. It has Double Dragon 2, but it doesn't have Double Dragon 1 or Double Dragon 3. That's crazy. Why would you do that? Just aggravate me. That's why they're doing it. So
I'm not a video game expert by any means, but Nintendo with some of their product I know historically can be frustrating. But if you want an NES, probably go to eBay, because you're probably not going to luck up.
You know what? I saw a couple at GameStop the other day. So I think Nintendo has sent a new shipment of them out. So hopefully they're going to be easier to find this time around. $60 for 30 NES games is not bad. So
no, hell no. That's a steal of a deal. So Jerry, I checked out something on Netflix. It was kind of a good companion piece to A Quiet Place. I checked out Cargo starring Martin Freeman. And this film takes place in Australia. Martin Freeman, his wife, and a daughter, probably close to 2, if not right at 2. And unfortunately, for my wife Abby's sake and mine, it kind of tugged at our heartstrings. This little girl kind of looked just like Harper. Like, this is what Harper's going to look like when she's like this age. So this was well acted. It made the empathy really come through. But the premise of the film is there is a zombie outbreak throughout the world, and there's only a handful of societies that are surviving. So kind of cliche zombie stuff, you think, but it's really more of I know every zombie story in a way is a survivalist story, but it really focuses on this family. The father, played by Martin Freeman, his will to get his family, specifically his daughter, to safety. And he goes like halfway across the Australian outback to do this. It was shot in Australia. So beautiful filming locations. But my God, the actors in this, it's a Netflix exclusive film. It's been getting some hype for being one of the best horror movies of 2018. And yes, it is a horror movie, but it's definitely a multi-layered horror movie. Like I said, a lot of emotion and stuff there. But that was a lot of fun to check. Not fun, I should say, to check out. But if I was rating Quiet Place, I would give it epic. I'd probably give this a great. So not quite on Quiet Place level. So that's Cargo on Netflix.
There's quite a few.
Jerry, have you...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Brad.
No, Jerry, what were you going to say, my friend?
I was going to say, man, there's quite a few horror movies I've been wanting to... I really want to see Hereditary. This is one I really want to see as well.
Me
Cargo.
too.
Just haven't got a chance to go and watch quite a few of these. So, definitely have a hard time.
August 1st, Jerry.
What is it?
August 1st, you start binging.
Oh, I know. Got to figure out a way to... Excuse me there, man. Sorry. I got to figure out...
See, it's harder when your kids are older, because you can't put that on when Allie's in the room.
Exactly.
Harper is like asleep on my shoulder, so I can watch some of these movies that I would never watch if she was aware of what was going on. So I'm kind of in that little sweet spot grace period.
So the other day, as punishment for something, we took away, TV for Allie for a day. She was not allowed to watch TV one day, and so I was joking with my wife, and I was joking with Allie, and I said, you're not going to be able to watch anything. And she's like, I'm not. I said, nope. I said, Mommy and I are just going to have to watch what we want to watch. And she said, okay, why don't you watch something really scary then?
Yeah.
And I said, no, because you're going to still be out here. We're not watching anything. And she's like, oh, no, I won't really look at the TV. And she's always trying to get us to let her watch scary movies. And, obviously there is a very strong limit to what she's allowed to watch. So,
yeah.
Goosebumps was about that limit.
Jerry, has she got to check out some Goosebumps?
Yeah, she loves the movie. She loves the movie with Jack Black. And so we started watching the TV show. And when she started watching the TV show, she started for a couple times. She would, call me in and start, talking about, being a little bit afraid. So we had to cut the TV show off. But the movie...
You should ease her in with some Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I definitely am interested in trying to check out some Are You Afraid of the Dark. I know we're going to talk about Nickelodeon shows that are coming back, but that is a show there's always rumors out there, but it just seems like a great show to bring back in some way.
Well, there's a movie coming out of Are You Afraid of the Dark in fall 2019.
Is there? I knew I kept hearing something about it.
Yeah. You can find the DVD sets for I think there's 3 or 4 seasons of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and for the sets they're $8 a piece on Amazon.
That's not bad. I'll have to look at them. I remember some of those being creepy as heck, though.
Oh yeah, some of them were creepy, but they're a good way to ease into horror. I mean, if you're afraid of that, obviously you're not going to be handling anything, above that. Have you been checking out anything else, Sherry? I have some other things, but it looks like you.
Man, I just gotta say, I've been been watching all the the Comic-Con news because it's Thursday night, so it's been preview night. There's a lot of stuff coming in. DC Collectibles has shown a little bit. I'm surprised. They actually showed some stuff. Whether they're ever going to actually put it out or not is a whole different story, right? But Hasbro is definitely showing some pretty cool Star Wars stuff. A few minutes ago, they showed Moloch from Solo in the Black Series. And then
is that a Target exclusive?
I believe it's supposed to be.
Okay.
And they also showed the Princess Leia in the usually she's always been referred to as Bespin Escape, so it's like the white outfit that she wears when Han gets frozen in carbonite, and then when they escape from Cloud City. So looks really good. Uses the face printing technology for just such a nice likeness of Carrie Fisher. So I'm watching all the stuff coming out.
I saw that.
I really want to see some more prequel figures this week. I would love for them to show off Count Dooku, General Grievous, Padme. I really want to see Ponda Baba. I really want to see Admiral Akbar. I'm really hoping to see Bodhi Rook from Rogue One, but I think they're going to leave that gap for a while probably. So I'm excited.
I did see in the 3 1/3 the Star Wars Classics line.
Yeah, the vintage collection.
They are doing. Yeah, the vintage collection. They're doing a Dr. Aphra.
Have you seen that one of the Comic-Con exclusives is Dr. Aphra and the droids?
Yeah, I saw that. And but they're doing that's a SDCC exclusive, unfortunately. So it's going to be hard for most people to do it. But they're doing an individual Dr. Aphra figure, and that's pretty
cool. So the controversy with that is that she's on a Star Wars card, which is the card for A New Hope figures, because they used to do expanded universe cards, but they're not doing that anymore because they don't call it the expanded universe, and they don't. It's new canon, so no one's quite sure what to call it, I guess. So
NC, like the state.
I don't know what they're gonna call it. So, but it looks cool.
So, Jerry, I finally finished Dragon Teeth by Michael Crichton.
Oh, yeah? What's that one about?
All right, so Dragon Teeth was an unpublished work from Michael Crichton, and it got released after his death. So it's the most recent, I guess, what will probably be the last, unless there's
Is this the one with cowboys and dinosaurs?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. So the premise is that you have two rival paleontologists, one Yale, one Princeton, who are going on expeditions throughout the West, and one is kind of ripping off the other one. One is definitely more proper and snooty. They're both very wealthy, man, and one is just like kind of, I don't give a crap, throw caution to the wind. And so the story revolves around the protagonist. I think his name's Tom Johnson. And Johnson starts out with one of the paleontologists, ends up with another one. But it's basically his story about being in the West. Like, he gets separated from the group. He encounters Wyatt Earp. He goes to saloons. He gets into a shootout. And Dragon Teeth is misleading. It's just talking about some fossils that they end up finding.
Yeah.
That, we're not talking real dragons, obviously. Right. And there's a lot of cowboys and Indian stuff here. What I really liked about it is it played as historical fiction. So there was a lot. It took place during the administration of Robert E. Lee. Not Robert E. Lee. God, that's some alternate history.
Wow.
The administration of
Grant.
Sorry, Ulysses S.
Mr.
Grant,
History teacher.
Yeah, no. That was a Freudian slip, thinking about the times we live in. That's like some alternative history Donald Trump wishes that were. But anyway, Grant, a great general, not a good president. He was plagued by scandals, economic downturn, of course, his persecution and massacre of like all the big Indian massacres happened. Like the ones like Wounded Knee, Sand Creek, all those like during his administration. So it really Battle of Little Bighorn, like it really plays into that. And man, I cannot believe after reading it, somebody hasn't turned this thing into a movie yet. I don't think it would make a good TV show. I don't know if there's enough there to stretch it out, across 10 episodes or whatever. But man, like if Spielberg would do this movie, I would be in. Here was the thing. Like, I do this weird thing. When I read books, I cast the characters.
I've done that from time to time. Especially if it's a book.
So you know who I...
Especially if it's a book I'm having a hard time following. Sometimes that helps.
So I want to tell you who I cast in this one.
All right.
So as one of the paleontologists, I cast Paul Giamatti. And as the other one, I cast Michael Caine. And as the main guy, Johnson, I cast, are you ready?
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
I don't know.
It's nice to see he's getting some work in your mind. So.
Yeah. I couldn't help but cast him in that.
The beef.
Jerry, I got one other thing I've been checking out, and it's not Shia LaBeouf related.
Go for it, man.
So I don't know why, I've been getting the horror itch. It's a little early. I mean, it's only July. It's not August 1st yet, Jerry.
Never too early. Never too early.
Close to the beginning of September. We're not close to Labor Day. But I checked out Unfriended, and the reason I did was because on my DirecTV on demand, you've seen this movie.
Yeah, Andrew and I watched it a couple years ago.
Did you go to the theaters and see it?
No, him and I watched it. We watched it over here at my house a year or two ago. It's better than you'd think.
It's not a damn good movie.
Yeah.
Like a really tight, suspenseful horror movie. Only like an hour and 20 minutes. Whole thing takes place over a Skype call on a computer. You see the previews, you're like, all right, this is some dumb teen bullshit. But it's really not. Like, it revolves around a girl who committed suicide. And they pretty much cyber-bullied her into committing suicide. And she has come back from the grave and will not leave this Skype call. And just haunts the hell out of them and makes them play all these, deadly games. And I watched this by myself. Harper was asleep. Abby was at work. And, whenever I got a text or something, I jumped just a little bit. Just the new one's coming out this weekend. Of course, I won't be able to see it prior to it hits home video. It's like Unfriended Dark Web. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. All right.
I was really surprised with the movie. It was definitely one of those... I don't want to say gimmicky films, but it definitely was like, hey, here's the gimmick of the film. Kind of when you had a lot of the found footage movies were sort of at their zenith. And, of course, I guess the Renaissance after Paranormal Activity and stuff. And this came out a couple years after that. And it is very captivating to watch it.
It keeps your attention.
The only thing that Andrew and I commented, and maybe you didn't have the problem, how did you watch it? Did you watch it on a computer or on a TV or?
I watched it on my TV.
Did you have a hard time reading the text?
No, I have a pretty big TV.
I remember Andrew and I had it. Maybe it was because I just upgraded recently, but we had a smaller TV. Comparatively, I guess, but we had a hard time reading the text on some things, and we were like, could you read the text in the theater? So we were trying to...
I'm sure you could, but that was one that I think would have been fun to go on an opening weekend to see it in the theater.
Yeah, but... Just
because it's so unconventional, it's one thing to see that computer screen on your TV or something, or on a laptop, right? But to see it stretched out, I wonder what that experience would have been like. But it was just surprisingly so good, and I'd highly recommend it. What it made me realize is how much Facebook and stuff changes. Facebook looked completely different on there.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when it made those sounds, and that's what Facebook looked like. And it uses Skype, Facebook, iMessage. It's not just all Facebook, but it was.
Well, it's one of those things where sometimes you're watching a movie and you're like, wow, this movie wouldn't even be possible today because cell phones, or social media.
That's the thing.
And now you're but you're thinking about wow, but think of all the the new things that can happen in films and TV and horror movies because of that technology. So.
But you know what it made me think too, on kind of the opposite end of that spectrum, is if this was today, I feel like all these characters would be doing this on their cell phones. Like, they wouldn't even be on their laptop.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between how people, especially young people,
a couple years ago,
technology, from 2015 to now 2018. I mean, it was a better time. We had Barack Obama as our president, and Facebook was still pretty cool. But I think that's going to do it for what we've been checking out, Jerry.
All right. We got some.
So with Epic News, we've sprinkled some San Diego Comic-Con in here. Like Jerry said, it's preview night, so it's not like we have everything right in front of us. We're recording this on the Thursday night of San Diego Comic-Con, which is after, I think Wednesday was preview night. So we do have some stuff on here to talk about. So let's get into the Epic News items of the week. Okay, Jerry, I'm going to start out with my favorite company, Mondo. And I'm just going to throw some things out there that I was impressed or surprised by. First of all, Mondo's doing their first ever Ghostbusters print. It's from Tom Whalen. It's very cartoonish and stylized.
It is. Yeah.
That's just Tom Whalen's style. People either love it or they don't hate it. They just don't like it. It was just a big deal because everybody's always wanted them, especially when they were at their height, like when they were really getting going. One of their famous artists like Stout or Moss or somebody to do a Mondo Ghostbusters poster. And it's kind of like Ghostbusters 3. It never happened. And finally it happened. And it's kind of like when they made a new Ghostbusters. It's like, that's okay. You saw this poster. What'd you think?
I mean, I it's an interesting image, but I don't know. I guess when I think of poster, movie poster, I'm thinking of something a bit more grand. And, my daughter and I got the Ghostbusters Golden Book from the library.
Oh, yeah?
And
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think the cover image of that was a little more impressive than this. So, because it stylized the Ghostbusters. Fun. So, I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, it's not one of these like, oh, I have to get it, even though Ghostbusters is a movie I love, and it's one of your, if not your favorite movie.
Yeah, it's one of my top
Raiders
two.
of the Lost Ark. So, on the other side of things, this poster I'm about to talk about did blow me away, and that was Matt Taylor's Infinity War poster. Matt Taylor's colors are insane. He just mixes and matches them so well, and really... it's not stylized at all. The colors kind of push the characters forward on it, but it's like an epic collage of every Infinity War character with Thanos lurking in the background. But the most epic thing about this is, Jerry, they're offering it as a timed edition. So if you want this, you can go to mondotees.com from Sunday through like Wednesday, starting July 23rd, I believe, and you can pick one of these up, which if this poster was not like a timed edition, Jerry, where you could get it for $60, you're paying, if you want it, $300-$400 on eBay.
Yeah.
So I'm actually picking this one up. Like, I've talked to Abby about it, and it's like, did you get to check this one out?
I did. I'm looking at it right now. I like the, which one do you like better? I like the second one.
The colors,
I like
that's
the color.
The one that's the time. That's the timed edition. Okay, that's the one that I'm gonna.
Yeah, that one looks really good. I mean,
I didn't like the other one as much.
The top one's okay. It just looks kind of washed out a little bit. I think the colored one looks really good.
All right, Jerry, look at this poster. You got it pulled up. People had one complaint about this poster. Guess what it was?
Star-Lord having his back turned just looks a little bit weird.
No, that's not
okay.
It is Loki's not on here. And he's like the only major, probably, Infinity War character besides the Black Order that is not on there.
Oh, yeah.
So people were disappointed. Matt Taylor also did a Marvel 10-year anniversary print.
Yeah.
And it is has everybody on there, like Loki, Ultron, like all the major villains from the MCU. So I really enjoyed that one, but I enjoy this one a lot more. So I'm looking forward to having this on display in my home. Not the 10-year anniversary one, but the Infinity War.
Yeah. I hear you.
So Jerry, Mondo's also doing, this is what caught me off guard. They've been doing some figures, like we saw Mr. Freeze, Batman the animated series, but at $160, they're doing Masters of the Universe figures, Jerry.
Yeah, saw those.
And they showed He-Man, they showed Skeletor, I think they showed Merman.
That seems right. I think Merman was the third one that they showed. Yeah, it was Merman.
So I couldn't wait to hear what you thought about these. Like, you're the Masters of the Universe guy. Obviously, we've talked Mondo to death on this podcast just because of me. But, like, what'd you think of these?
They are very cool. I like the style. I like the proportions. They look bulky. They look strong and bulky and kind of have that, that savage, like a Frank Frazetta styling to them. But they don't look silly. They're not like overly oddly proportioned
Stylized.
or anything. I like the fact that they're very clearly the characters that they are. I mean, anybody who ever has seen Skeletor would look at this and say that's Skeletor, that's He-Man. But they do some really cool things, like the way that if you look at He-Man, I mean his chest harness is a bit more stylized. Like you can see rivets and things like where the actual materials would connect together. Faker looks really cool. You got Faker in there, and I mean the bracers actually look like something somebody would really be wearing. And you've got these alternate head sculpts. You get some head sculpts that look like the classic toys. You get some that look like a newer portrait of the characters that fits in well. These are very cool. I actually really do like these. Probably for me, one of the things that's ever going to keep me from wanting to pick up other Masters Universe stuff is I have such an extensive collection of Masters of the Universe figures in, that 7-inch Masters of the Universe Classic scale. So I would be very reluctant to pick up a completely new scale. But looking at these, they are, and you said they're 1/6 scale. These look great. I mean, these are
for 160.
Yeah, for 160. I mean, I don't think that's a bad deal, considering they look like they come with about 3 portraits apiece and extra weapons. So
the paint applications, and I know these are the prototypes, and when they go into production, we'll see. But man, they look really flawless.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like the Merman's armor and stuff, actually has like different colors, on the armor representing like I guess different pieces of coral or seashell or different things that are part of the armor, and there's a little bit of weathering on like the blade of He-Man's axe, and these are very cool. I like that they went with Faker early on too. He's a mixture of He-Man, a blue He-Man, a blue robotic He-Man with Skeletor armor, but looks really cool. I love that Skeletor's carrying the Cosmic Key. That's incredible. Very neat little extra there. I also really like Mondo's Ninja Turtles. I really like their Casey Jones. Their Casey Jones is very cool.
Yeah. Their Ninja Turtle stuff was pretty good. They had some quality control issues with like some of the belts and stuff with the turtles. But I mean, I liked how they were kind of a mismatch of all the different Turtles mythos. But Jerry, from one company that I still semi-collect to one I used to, Hot Toys. So I don't collect Hot Toys, nor will I anytime in the future. But I always like to check out what they're doing, just because they're jaw-dropping figures.
Yeah.
And as prices go up, their quality continues to get better, it seems like. But 2 things blew me away. 1, for me personally, and 2, because I wanted to see what you thought about 1. So they revealed a lot of stuff you would expect, Infinity War figures, Star Wars figures, but they revealed a Spider-Man Homecoming Vulture. And this thing was just absolutely gorgeous. It's going to be massive with the wingspan. Unfortunately, it didn't have a Michael Keaton head sculpt. That's probably due to trying to get approval. That doesn't mean it
Hasbro never had one either for their figure, so I'm wondering if there was some kind of
licensing
Yeah,
issue.
maybe
But
he doesn't license it out.
Hot Toys had it for Keaton
They did
Batman,
for that.
which I know license varies from movie to movie. So just because they had it for Keaton Batman doesn't mean they'll have it for Vulture.
Right.
But a lot of times they try to work on it. If they can't get it, they can't get it. But at the very last second, they'll be like, oh, with Keaton head sculpt. But there's no doubt that figure is probably a 350, 325 figure easy, with just how massive the wings are. And I thought that was pretty impressive. But Jerry,
Yeah.
they're doing a Batgirl.
I know, I saw it.
It's the Arkham Batgirl from the Arkham games. But you once said, if Hot Toys ever did a Batgirl figure, that may be the one that tempts you.
Yeah.
Is this tempting at all? What'd you think of the
I
figure?
looked at it. It didn't wow me. I'll be honest. This is one of my less favorite Batgirl outfits. One, she only appears in the game basically in downloadable content and flashback. So it doesn't. I mean, it wasn't something that had a whole lot of screen time or play time or anything. But it's not bad. I mean, it kind of looks like it kind of reminds me of the New 52 armor a little bit, which the original New 52 costume, which I didn't dislike, but it's not one of my favorites. So it's not something that I'm that I anticipate picking up.
I mean, it looked fine. I like the Deathstroke a lot better that they revealed a couple weeks ago.
Now I'm really liking
Deathstroke.
I'm really liking the Aquaman. Their Aquaman is cool. Not that I plan on buying it, but they really did. The Aquaman figure really does a cool job of capturing the classic Aquaman look with Jason Momoa's updated Aquaman. So I'm digging it.
Yeah, he has the orange top, the bright orange
top,
which I guess he's going to have in the movie.
Yeah, it's very cool. So
yeah, so that definitely looks like that's going to be one of their better figures within the next year or two. That Aquaman figure was one that a lot of people were buzzing about. But keeping it in DC, Jerry, CW has announced that we knew that they were going to be doing some type of Batwoman crossover event.
Yeah.
And that was announced by Greg Berlanti and the people over at CW a couple of weeks ago. But it was also announced that CW is developing a Batwoman TV show. Now, I know you're a big fan of Batgirl, but Batwoman as well.
Oh, yeah. Batwoman easily one of the best comics throughout DC's New 52 run. And
incredible in detective.
Incredible in detective, and still a pretty good standalone series too. Yeah,
and I love the Arrowverse shows. I've watched all of Arrow, all of Flash, all of Legends Tomorrow. I'm halfway through Black Lightning right now, so I just got to get caught up on Supergirl. Hopefully one day I will. I'm really behind on it.
Yeah,
but I trust them. Their crossovers are usually like their big thing for the year, so they go all out. I mentioned Crisis on Earth X a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, definitely mentioned that.
But can this work in isolation, Jerry?
I think, Batwoman, I think she works great as part of the detective team, but most of her stuff has been pretty isolated from Batman and the Batman family. I mean, maybe you get, her joining in like during a big crisis like the Night of the Owls or something, or, during
how cool.
during Endgame, but most of her storylines are completely independent of the Bat family. Her series has had its own tone. It's a bit more supernatural at times, a bit darker, if you will, than the standard Batman series, and it has its own feel to it. And I would say of any of the characters who really would stand alone well, Batwoman is probably the best. I think, who stands alone well, separated from the rest of the traditional, Batman Gotham mythos. I mean, Batwoman rarely interacts with, major Batman villains, except if it's part of like a big event or something. So I think this is a really good idea to still bring in some of the Gotham feel and the Bat family into the Arrowverse without bringing in a character who needs to rely on everyone else.
Yeah, I have a good feeling about this because Stephen Amell's Arrow is like a hybrid between Oliver Queen and Bruce Wayne, between Batman and Green Arrow anyway. He was pretty much the CW's Batman for basically, that started it all, hence the Arrowverse. But he's always like the most ultimate badass in the room. Like, compared to the Flash, he's just so much more edgier, so much willing to push the teams to the limits when they have these big team-ups that they probably wouldn't otherwise be pushed to. And I think if you add Batwoman into that, is it Kate Kane? Is that Kate Kane? All right, Kate Kane. You add her into that. Like, she's somebody that matches this Oliver Queen on an intensity level. So I do think that's going to be something that's going to, especially in a big crossover event where I'm figuring the stakes are high, that's something that's going to be, I think, really great. I can't wait to watch that crossover. They're usually in November, December. So kind of keeping it with the Birds of Prey, the women of DC. So Birds of Prey, the DCEU film lineup has been revealed. And, it's kind of what you would expect. But I guess the one that kind of surprised me in here, because you got Black Canary, you got the Huntress, you have Harley Quinn, you have Renee Montoya. The only one that surprised me here a bit was Cassandra Cain. Now, I know she was introduced, it says here in this Slash Film article in 1999.
She's been around a long time. She's been Batgirl before.
See, I only really became familiar with her when she was the Orphan.
Okay.
And more recent stuff. I mean, like Huntress, I know Huntress. Like, that's a character that was, I remember.
She was introduced during the No Man's Land storyline.
I thought Huntress was,
No,
right?
Cassandra Cain.
Okay, when was Huntress?
Oh gosh, Huntress has been around for a long time. Huntress has shown up. Huntress has been around in the 80s. I mean, Huntress came before that, but Huntress has different origins. Post-Crisis and pre-Crisis and New 52.
Which you can save that for the...
But Cassandra Cain has pretty much had one specific origin that... her dad is an assassin. Her mother is Lady Shiva, but she ends up, in different things. She's been mute before, but in Detective Comics currently and like Rebirth, she does talk, she does communicate. But she's been Batgirl before, so she took over the mantle of Batgirl during No Man's Land. And then she was, sort of her own character for a while. She's been part of multiple teams, and you're right now she's part of the Detective Comics team. I think it's a pretty good idea adding her in there because, she's supposed to be an incredible martial artist, which, again, if you look at anybody on this team, most of them are. But, she is supposed to be above and beyond, your standard incredible martial artist. Again, kind of like a Damian Wayne type character, trained from birth for this role, but very, very naive, very kind of like limited. Where Damian's a bit more world-wise, she's kind of a bit more isolated. But it also adds somebody in who, again, came out in 99, so you can't really say that she's new. But she is a character that a lot of people are not going to be at all familiar with. So
I would have rather seen Stephanie Brown, I think. Maybe we'll see her in the Titans TV show, Jerry.
Yeah, she could show up like that. Stephanie Brown, there's another person who's been Batgirl before. She's been Spoiler, she's been multiple different characters, but I really like putting Cassie Cain on this team. Plus, she's actually been part of she's never been part of the Birds of Prey before, but she's running those same circles a little bit more.
So speaking of Titans, that trailer was released today. We're gonna play a clip from that right now.
Hello?
Who are you?
Everything led me here. To you. You're the boy from the circus.
You got no place to hide. And I'm feeling like a villain, got a hunger inside. Nowhere to hide from all of this.
Please. Can you help me?
Madness, madness.
Where's Batman? Fuck Batman.
There's something evil inside of me.
You're scared. I get it. But you can control it. You don't know what I've become.
Sometimes, when I feel the darkness, it feels good. My mom says there's no such thing as monsters.
I used to think that. I was wrong.
Madness, madness.
All right, Jerry. I just got one thing to say. I never thought I would say it. F Batman, right?
Yeah.
That was the line.
Was
from,
that what you played? Okay. Yeah.
No, I played the whole trailer.
Oh,
but,
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah.
That's the line that was very prevalent around the internet today. So Titans is the first DC original show that's going to be on their streaming service. That's going to include a social networking platform. It's going to have digital comics, really cool stuff they're doing. It's going to be $8 a month, but they're having all these original shows, like a Doom Patrol show, like a Titan show, and man, I really don't know where to begin with this. I kind of tweeted out that this looks like a CW show without any of the drama.
Yeah.
And I actually had lunch with Andrew Stokes today, and I was telling him that. And he was like, that's perfect. That's the only part I hate about the CW shows. But it just seems like this show is going to be edgy for the sake of being edgy. Like, it felt like a 90s comic book.
Yeah.
To me. It come to life is what this show felt like. What'd you think of this trailer and this show?
So as I started watching it, I liked it. I liked it up until that part when Dick Grayson says F Batman, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, what? And then from there, it just really went downhill. I don't know. I didn't think characters. Again, the Teen Titans have some characters that I imagine are very difficult to translate.
Like Beast Boy.
Beast Boy,
right?
Starfire again. A very alien-looking character. The whole, fire element to her and things. Beast Boy is green. And not that those things are impossible, but this is one of those where I don't know. it's one trailer, but it's just not. Is that Dove in the background? Is that who you think that there's somebody in blue and white, and the only person I can think of is Dove. It looks like Dove to me.
I don't want to completely crap on that. I did like Raven. Looks really
Raven looks well done.
Like there's gonna be a lot to that character. They're gonna explore that character on multiple levels. Like, where everything else feels like there's not gonna be much substance to it. Now, this is one trailer in isolation, But I don't know if I'm seeing this, even as being a major comics fan or superhero fan in general who watches all these shows and movies, is like, this is going to get me to pony up $8 a month. Is this making you pony up $8 a month?
The amount of DC content on there probably is enough to make me at least try it for $8 a month. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'm more excited about Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing.
I'm very excited for Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing. Those, to me, are the kind of shows where I want to see something different. I'm okay with something pretty new or darker. To me, Titans is like, you know, yeah, they're not the Justice League or the Avengers, but they're just right about there. You know, and again, this is not me trying to be like the grumpy old man, but or the concerned parent, but you know, Teen Titans have had a great run over the past decade or so with their cartoons. They have. I mean, Justice League, you know, Teen Titans Go, Teen Titans Now. I mean, they've really been popular. Rebirth, the Rebirth Titans and Teen Titans books have been incredibly good. Now, again, it's a TV show, it's real people, it's going to be a different feel than a comic, a different feel, but one of the things I've always felt about with the Teen Titans books, and that's even going back and reading stuff from the 70s Teen Titans and the 80s era Titans, which I love as well. There's always sort of this real sense of joy there, because, I mean, again, you have these young people who are dealing with young people issues, hence you have drama and conflict, but they also have these incredible powers, and so there's kind of this sense of, like, you know, joy and excitement about it, and I'm just not getting that, and I am. One of the things I'm really looking forward to one of the things I'm really liking, and I think we've said this before about Rebirth, it's just nice to see heroes being heroic. It's cool if they do cool things or, you know, face incredible odds, but I want to see heroes being heroic. And I'm okay if there was, like, lots of, you know, angst or drama or all kinds of darkness in something else, but I don't know. I don't know that that's anything that we
have enough of that in the real world. It's not
anything I ever equate with Teen Titans.
Here's the thing that I'll say. I said this looks like if a 90s comic come to life.
Yeah.
It looks like if the DCEU was set and made during the 1990s comic boom.
Yeah.
Where everything was that angst and edge and pouches and bullcrap.
Yeah.
That's what this.
I have no problem with pouches.
It off, so
I am all about pouches and bandoliers and things like that. No problem with that at all. But you're right. It feels angsty because it's angsty, and I don't know. I mean, isn't one of the things that you always think with Dick Grayson is he is like the perpetual optimist? I mean, that's just one of the elements of his character. You know, even in the middle of, like, something, I mean, you know, Metal was supposed to be one of the darkest moments ever for the DC universe.
He kept his, you know, his
Dick Grayson keeps this hope, you know. I don't know. I would have rather this been Damian, you know. I mean, not the whole, you know, F Batman thing, but Damian would have been a better inclusion in Titans, maybe. I don't know. At least they did.
Here's the thing. This looks like it's not going to work in isolation.
Yeah.
Like, I'll care more about seeing what happened between Batman and Robin than what Robin's actually doing to have him say F Batman.
What an attention grabber, right? So...
It was. It made the internet headlines today, for sure.
It's like a Deadpool 3 trailer. It needs to just have him come out and say that, you know.
So. Yes, it was the quote. It was definitely the pull quote of the day from San Diego Comic-Con. Let's do 2 rapid-fire things right here, Jerry's. Rugrats is returning for 26 episodes and a live-action film. I don't know about the live-action film. That seems very weird.
How does that make any sense?
I wish we could have cast Harper in it if they were casting it right now.
Harper is. I'll get Allie to be Angelica. So
Yeah. No, she's too sweet to be Angelica. But Rugrats is returning for the 26
That's
episodes.
cool.
I'm excited.
I like that.
I'm
I'm
excited
digging that.
because it gives my kids a chance to watch it. Probably by the time they're getting this developed and out, Harper would be 3,
But
4
a
years
live
old.
action movie? This
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
I've heard it has live action and CG elements, but still does not make sense.
I don't know.
I was kind of confused by that. That was a head scratcher.
Yeah.
And there's not much hair on Tommy Pickles' head, so that hurt. Zombieland 2 has been officially greenlit. October 11th, 2019, all the original cast coming back. Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, Abigail Breslin, they're all coming back. I think I can speak for you. We loved the first Zombieland.
It's a great movie.
And all these guys that were... Woody Harrelson was really the only known at that time.
Emma Stone was definitely starting to get up there.
But she was just starting. That was right around the same time as Superbad.
Yeah. It was a couple years after Superbad, but Easy A? I think Easy A was around that time.
Yeah, that was definitely... But it was before she... oh my gosh.
She wasn't...
The Help. It was before The Help, which is when she really catapulted.
And Superman, or Spider-Man. For Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was before that. So the thing about this is... I can't wait to see this, just because you and you were big fans of this movie, and all these guys are tippy top of the A-list now.
Tippy top of the A-list. I hope Dan Aykroyd's in this movie.
I want to know this. Are people really wanting a Zombieland 2 right now? Like, everybody wanted it back then, but has it been too long, Jerry?
I don't think anything's too long these days,
I think it will do fine. I just think they missed the opportunity. Like, if it would have come out 3 to 4 years later.
They definitely missed the optimal window for a sequel.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's speaking of windows, how about some broken windows as we get to our featured review of the evening, which is Rob Cohen's Hurricane Heist.
Hurricane Heist.
There's a hurricane coming. We gotta go.
Agent Corbin reporting in.
600 million offloaded.
It's all here with about 300 million of its cousins.
It's your responsibility.
I'm all right at babysitting old money.
We're on lockdown due to the storm.
Come on, man.
Oh boy.
Turn around now. Do it.
This is not good.
No witnesses.
The treasury's being robbed.
Where is she?
They need me. I'm the only one with the code.
We gotta go get my brother.
I need your help.
Let's go save the world. What in the hell?
Well, I am a citizen in Alabama.
Yeah! We're about to be crushed by the biggest storm of the century. Look out!
I knew today was going to be...
Let's load up.
This is gonna be harsh!
What?
Here comes the harsh part! Here goes nothing. You better hope not.
Let's get the money.
That thing wants to swallow us whole.
Hell of a day, ain't it? Hell of a day!
Jerry, as we like to do on the Confirmed Epic podcast, let's get into a few stats for Hurricane Heist starting now.
Nerd! Alrighty.
This film was directed by Rob Cohen, rated PG-13, stars Toby Kebbell and Maggie Grace, music by Lauren Baff, distributed by the major studio known as Entertainment Studio Motion Pictures. Never heard of them. Released March 9th, 2018. Running time of 103 minutes. Budget of $35 million. It was a box office failure. Only grossed $15 million. And it was a critical failure. Only 44% on RT. Jerry, do you want to sit this one up? You just watched it.
I just watched it. I know. So, there is a huge hurricane, Hurricane Tammy, that is hitting Gulfport, Alabama. Am I right about that?
Mississippi.
Oh, Gulfport, Mississippi. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right, you do geography too. So, and anyways, there is a place that a treasury, U.S. Treasury office that shreds. Am I right? That shreds.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That shreds money that's going out. Gets rid of old money. Is there, and during the middle of a hurricane, a couple insiders and some hired help during the middle of this massive hurricane, was like a Category 5 or something, decide to they've planned to steal the money that's going to be disposed of, and so they attack the treasury, and one lady who was an ATF agent is like the only Maggie Grace, who was in Lost, which is what I remembered her from most of all, as Shannon in Lost. Yeah. She is the one who is having to stop them, and she gets the help of a former Afghanistan war veteran and his brother. Hey, I thought that worked pretty well. And his brother, who is a meteorologist, who's in this really cool armored car that kind of looks like the Tumbler from the Nolan Batman films, which we have to mention because yesterday was the 10th anniversary of The Dark Knight, Brad.
Of The Dark Knight.
But anyways,
I think that budget for this movie, most of it was spent on that vehicle.
Well, this movie was also filmed in Bulgaria.
Was it really?
Yeah, I think the principal photography was done in Bulgaria. So, which is not uncommon, especially for a lot of these lower budget action films, that they will film in places where they can get like really good tax incentives or whatnot, and then it makes the movies much more financially feasible. But anyway, so this unlikely trio, an ATF agent and a Iraqi war veteran Afghanistan veteran, and a meteorologist are fighting this group of, you might say, thieves who are on a hurricane heist.
Yeah, and the meteorologist, played by Toby Kebbell, is the brother of the Afghani war vet, who's now a repairman.
He's not Afghani.
The Afghani war veteran, meaning he in the war in Afghanistan. He's an American veteran.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we want to make that clear. So, Jerry, I picked this movie because I said it's going to be a good, bad movie. But I actually ended up enjoying this movie and thinking it's a pretty decent action.
I liked it too. Quite a bit.
Did Kristen like it?
She did. She said there were some lines that definitely made her cringe from time to time. Yeah.
Anyone in particular that you can remember off the top of your head?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. There was something that there was a couple things that she said that she.
It seems like a movie that if you and I and Andrew would have saw it like 5 years ago in the theater, we would have probably quoted.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think of any really good quotes on it or something, but
there was one that Toby Kebbell said to his brother at the end of the movie that I cannot remember, so it must have not been that memorable. But man, so I really enjoyed this movie. There was a lot to like here. It's generic action in a way, but the premise is just so batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And the CG, you can tell it's CG, but I expected it to be atrocious, but it really wasn't as bad.
It is not bad at all. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, like you can see that they did spend some money, that they didn't just mail it in, and unfortunately they ended up, losing money, and this was a minor studio, so I'm wondering kind of what shape they're in now. So we start out in the middle of Hurricane Andrew, 1992. You see the two brothers that would go on to become the war vet and the meteorologist. I mean, should I say spoilers already, you think, for this?
I don't know that you can spoil this movie. You could have told me the whole plot of this film, and I'm not sure it spoils it, because it just is what it is.
Okay, I'm just going to say this, just for, safety's sake. Spoilers for the Hurricane Heist starting now. In the middle of Hurricane Andrew, his dad gets killed. It inspires Toby Kebbell to become a meteorologist who hopefully can combat climate change and figure out what starts these hurricanes. The ocean's rising, the temperature's rising in the ocean, so that nobody else loses their dad. He ends up getting his doctorate.
It's more nuanced than,
nuanced?
He doesn't,
really?
Never mind. All right.
Jerry, this movie is so nuanced that, what is it like? Is it a water wheel? Not a water wheel, but like a silo that blows over and literally rolls over his dad as the two kids watch him meet his graphic demise, and then they look up in the clouds, and what do they see, Jerry?
Will, the younger brother, sees the form of a skull in the hurricane.
And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh boy, we were in for just shit."
I took that as artistic license. Again, the kid would think that they saw something like that in there.
So you think that should be the Mondo poster? Is what you're saying?
That if there's a Mondo poster for it, it would be a skull forming in a hurricane, with money blowing all around, and 3 green trucks driving through, and everything else would be great.
That would be so
See,
cool.
I just made a Mondo poster. There you go. So
we need to get somebody to commission
I'd
that.
sell 8 of them.
I tell you what, do a run of 8.
Well, that's what I mean. They would only make 8 of them.
I tell you what, another where I was like, oh my God. So Maggie Grace, all these people are trying to get out of here because they're in this Gulf town, hurricanes.
Mandatory evacuation.
They've been through this before, right? Just based on their location. And then all of a sudden, Maggie Grace pulls up in this tractor trailer, and she's just running cars out of the way.
Yeah.
And then she hauls ass through a
tobacco field.
Crop field. Yeah, tobacco. And I'm like, oh my God, what are these characters doing? Are they just going to be dicks to everybody the whole movie? But I tell you why this movie worked for me. Is as cheesy as it may sound and seem, the brotherly relationship between Kebbell and Ryan Quanten, who is the war veteran, they actually did a good job setting it up at the beginning in that opening scene, developing it as the movie went on, and then in that big final action set piece where the semis are trying to outrun the stay within the eye the eye happens, right? And are they trying to outrun the eye?
They're trying to stay in the eye of the storm until it dissipates.
Okay, yeah, so, that's the final scene, and of course we'll talk about that, but, they paid that relationship off, and I think that's what made this movie, really work for me. So what were some of your favorite parts, man? So
one of the things I like, you said earlier about it being sort of a generic action movie. One of the things I thought about it, though, is, gosh, as you're watching it, I mean, there are a lot of things in this movie I'm like, I'm not quite sure I've ever seen that before. And one of the scenes in particular is there is a shootout happening on one of the streets, while the hurricane is raging. It's night. So you've got, rain and wind and water starting to, reach these flood-like conditions. And
this is the tower
set
piece, right? So Maggie Grace and Toby Kebbell are trying to use that tumbler to pull down one of the towers.
Which is called the Dominator, and it turns out they're real. They are real things that are used for storm chasing.
Oh, that's really cool.
So you could get one. Some of them look awesome. Some of them look straight out Mad Max. This one looks more like something that Christopher Nolan's Batman would have driven, but some of them are pretty legit. I mean, they're all pretty legit. But anyways, So again, he's a meteorologist. He's not a, James Bond or something. So when he goes after these guys that are shooting at them, what he does is he finds like a giant thing of hubcaps from like a garage and starts throwing the hubcaps into the wind. And of course, hubcaps being thrown plus storm, these insanely crazy winds turn these hubcaps into like projectiles. And a dude,
how cool! That's good.
A dude takes a hubcap right to the chest, man. Oh my gosh! Remind me of in the like one of the only things I ever think about in the movie Wild Wild West, when they have those those blades that are like flying after people, like the saw blades through the air. Man, these hubcaps are flying. There's some great set pieces in this movie that I think the presence of the storm and the fact that even though her name's Casey, even though Maggie Grace's character, is I mean, again, she's an ATF agent, so she's a trained federal agent, but it never feels like you're watching like something over the top. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's Hurricane Heist, so it's pretty
over the top.
It's pretty crazy, but there's a little bit more. The action feels a little more grounded than some things. She's not flying through the air, while headshotting people.
Point. All right, so my favorite, you said she's not flying through the air, but one of my favorite set pieces is the mall scene.
Yeah, the mall's pretty cool.
So they are negotiating a hostage exchange. They go to a mall, which just looked like a really nice mall, which there's not a ton of super nice malls around anymore. This isn't the 80s or 90s, but still, especially you wouldn't think they'd have a nice mall in Gulfport, Mississippi. No offense to Gulfport.
They said it was the only mall, so.
Yeah, that's true, but it's not Cleveland Mall, which is just not that great.
They've redone the inside of it, but they still don't have a lot of stores.
All right, so they lure these guys in.
Mall chat.
This
is mall chat with Brad and Jerry.
Yeah, they then attach harnesses to the inside of the mall, like one of the railings or something.
They have those reels of cable from the sporting goods store.
Yeah. And so they basically break the glass at the top of the mall, like the glass. They literally break a glass ceiling. And
with a flare gun.
The wind sucks them out, and then they maneuver themselves over to a parking garage, but the reels keep them safe, but all the other people who were there just go flying out. Except for the brother, though. Like, he just runs, and he's off screen for like 15 minutes, and then they meet back up. But, kind of plot, not really a plot hole, but some storytelling.
He was warned about it, because one of the things used is that when the brothers were kids, their dad would always have them practice football plays with each other. And so they talk to each other in football plays, which they're telling each other what to do, and the terrorists or the thieves or the rogue treasury agents, whatever you want to call them, don't understand what they're preparing to do. So that was kind of cool.
But him saying he's going to do a flea flicker doesn't prepare him for breaking the glass on the ceiling. And then, I guess, you go up, you toss it. I don't know. But
it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, you also have a group of, 4 or 5 people with dart guns that take over the whole treasury. I mean, you have to... or that Treasury Department. So you have to suspend a little bit of disbelief at times.
Yeah, and the last scene's really cool. It's right out of something probably similar, not as good, but very similar to the first Fast and the Furious when they robbed that tractor trailer truck.
Yeah.
But you have the scenes with the trailer.
It is the same director. Did you mention that?
It's Rob Cohen directed the first Fast and the Furious?
Yes.
Oh my! Okay, so what else is
Rob Cohen directed Triple X, The Third Mummy, Dragonheart. I'm trying to think what else he directed. Daylight.
Yeah, so
Dragon, the Bruce Lee story.
It was very similar to that scene in the first Fast and Furious. And I'm glad you brought that up, Jerry. But I'd forgotten. Actually, I'd forgotten he directed the first Fast and Furious. Now I remember. But basically that scene, but if it was within the eye of a Cat 5 hurricane. And I thought it was really cool, man. Like,
it was a pretty cool scene.
I enjoyed this movie. So, like, I got this movie on 4K Blu-ray so I could give you the digital code we review it. And I was like, man, I wasted my money buying this movie is what I thought, honestly. But now that I've seen it, I'm going to revisit this because it's just a hell of a lot
I liked
of fun.
it. I want to say I thought their plan at the end was pretty terrible. It worked, but I thought that for them to think that their plan was going to be to take out each truck one by one just seemed like the way they did it seems like a really ridiculous plan. But, again, that is kind of this movie does have a lot of ridiculous plans that work out. But you're right, Brett. You said earlier, it is a lot of fun. It makes me think back to a lot of the action movies that, I don't know, I remember as a kid, like, where you sort of had a concept and that's what the movie was built around, like Speed. Speed on paper sounds like a ridiculous concept. It's a bus with a bomb and it can't go below a certain speed limit, But it works,
Jerry,
yeah.
If this movie comes out in 1992, do you think it's a big hit?
Well, here's the thing. I think if this movie comes out in the early 90s, mid 90s, it has some A-level talent attached to it. I would not want to take anything away from some of the actors in this film because I looked at some things that they've done, and some of them have done some pretty decent stuff. But I'm sitting there thinking, like,
Toby Kebbell was Dr. Doom.
Well, okay, I did see that, and I was like, really? Oh my gosh.
He's also Koba in Planet of the Apes.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, man, if you took this movie and you gave this to, like, Michael Bay or somebody, again, I'm not, you have something completely different on your hands. It's a premise that works pretty well. You do think about it, how destructive a storm is. You talk about people looting. Imagine someone trying to pull off something, even grander in the middle of this when no one is paying attention. But it is very fun. It reminds me of those 90s films like even sometimes Die Hard, some of the Die Hard films, some of the, Die Hard 2 or Die Hard 3. Reminds me of Cliffhanger, reminds me of Speed.
Yeah, Cliffhanger.
Some of those action movies that kind of had a, some sort of like a gimmick to it, but it turned out to be pretty exciting, and I really like this. I like watching these movies, and we talked about, when we first started doing this podcast, we were going to the movies fairly often. We were watching a lot of movies that weren't typically the movies we went out and saw. I remember we saw, Bullet to the Head. We saw Snitch.
Hansel and Gretel.
We saw Hansel and Gretel.
I, Frankenstein.
Was it 2 Guns or 7 Guns or...
Yeah, I don't think we actually had that one on the podcast.
Really?
I think we did it in like a checking out. We changed the topic,
we did.
We were gonna, yeah.
But one of the things I did like is watching these kind of movies is I wasn't expecting anything. Now these days, this year I can tell you the movies probably on one hand that I've went to. I've seen Solo. I've seen Black Panther. I've seen Avengers. I've seen Jurassic Park. I've seen Incredibles.
I've seen all those but Incredibles, so we've pretty much seen the same movies. And
in theaters.
I want to see Halloween and Mission Impossible.
And every movie that I go and see is typically part of like a bigger franchise, and so I have big expectations for it. Yeah. Guess what?
Yeah.
I had no expectations for this movie, and I just really enjoyed it. It's just a lot of fun.
It did remind me. You hit the nail on the head, man. Like, it reminded me a lot of a movie we would have reviewed within the first 10 or 20 episodes of this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, not always the best movies, but we would have so much fun with them. Would we come on here and call them out on their flaws? Yes. but we would find enjoyment in every single one of those
Absolutely.
movies. Even a movie like I, Frankenstein. It was on TV the other day, and I'm just sitting there. I watched like 20 to 30 minutes of it. It was on Sci-Fi. I sit there just laughing. Abby's like, why are you laughing? I'm like, I'm just thinking of how horrible this movie was in a good way. Like, you know, so bad it was hilarious, and how much fun we had doing that on the podcast. So, and I thought this would kind of be a good movie to usher out one era of the podcast and usher in a new era of the podcast, which we can talk about in just a second.
Man, remember Con Air? Great movie, built around kind of a, you know, gimmicky what happens, but loved it. So,
all right, Jerry, what would you rate Hurricane Heist before we talk about episode 100?
Oh, geez. Let me think about that for a second. So, the acting is a little weak at times, but I thought the directing was good. The direction was great. The action scenes were really well done, pretty exciting, easy to follow what was happening. Definitely some stuff you're not like expecting or you probably haven't seen before. Hearing about this movie, I was really thinking this was going to be, I don't know why, but you have all these like disaster weather movies. You have these like Sharknado and stuff like that.
Geostorm.
I thought it was going to be super cheesy, but I don't know. I really wouldn't call it super cheesy. I mean, again, it's a lower budget. I mean, $35 million is certainly not, low budget. I mean, I really feel that this movie should have been at least, I'm not going to say a sleeper hit at the box office, but it should have been a movie that more people saw.
That made a profit.
It should have made a profit. I thought it was clever. Even if it was ridiculous at times, I mean, it was a clever premise. I liked the character interactions. Again, even if sometimes the acting wasn't the best, I would give this a solid good and a half.
Solid good and a half. That's exactly what I'm going to give it. Good and a half. I'm not wavering on this. Not quite great. It's a little bit better than good. So a good and a half is worth watching.
Yeah.
If you see it on TV, if you see it on HBO, if you see it at Redbox, go pick this up. And if you're just a fan of action movies, you're gonna have a really good time with this film. I thought the acting was just adequate enough. There were no terrible performances. There were no great performances, but Rob Cohen's action set pieces were better than average, which is why I give this one a good and a half.
You're definitely going to think back to Twister as well. Which, as I've said before, Twister is the movie that if I'm ever somewhere where a TV is, with a connection and Twister comes on, I just sit there and watch it. I don't know why. So,
all right, Jerry, let's talk about episode 100.
Episode 100.
We'll do next week and this podcast moving forward.
Housekeeping?
I think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towels?
I want towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
We're actually going to change the format of this show a little bit. For the longest time, now we've varied on some confirmed craps and some Toy Fair episodes and some Comic-Con episodes. But what we would do typically is we would do what we've been checking out, which is always a big thing that people enjoy and we enjoy. We'd do epic news, which we have fun with, but everybody's doing that. And then we would do a feature review, which I love doing. I just had a ton of fun watching Hurricane Heist, talking about it over the course of this podcast. But as somebody that we're both married, we both work full-time, we both have daughters, it's hard sometimes to not only do a podcast, but to sit time aside to see a movie and prepare to podcast on it. Jerry was literally watching Hurricane Heist up to the within 5 minutes of the show starting, I think. So what we've decided to do is to change things up. So basically, the show will be more topic based and more discussion based. So here's what I envision. This could change. We could do this one or two times, and you may not like it. We may not like it. We could go back to the way things were, but I think it's good to do this format and freshen things up. And we're going to be going to a bi-monthly podcast. So we will podcast next week, but after that, it will be every other week. So we will record on a Thursday, and the podcast will probably be out like a week from that. Give me a week to edit it and stuff like that. But I want to continue doing the epic games that we've kind of tested out. Do things like over-unders, percentages, debates such as versus. So you're going to have a game segment. You're going to have what we've been checking out. We're going to keep that, and we're going to make that a more integral, a bigger part of the show, because while we may not review a film like Hurricane Heist, if we've been checking it out, we'll talk more about it than we would, because we're not trying to get to a feature review. Then we're going to have what we're going to call the super segments. So these are going to be in collecting, comics, movies, and TV. And basically what you're going to have is I pick 2, Jerry picks 2. So next week, I think Jerry has collecting and movies, and I have comics and TV. Or it may be different than that. But basically, we come up with a discussion that we want to have on this podcast within that given category. And it can be topical. It could be like, oh, the new Spider-Man Edge, basically Into the Spider-Verse trailer comes out. What'd you think of the trailer? That could be our movie section, but we'll try to transition that into a broader discussion. Is it a good thing for Sony to be doing alternate programming beside MCU Spider-Man? So you kind of get the point. I want to have some more random tweets in there. I want to throw some polls in there. And at the end of each show, which I envision being about an hour and 45 minutes since we're doing this only once every other week now, I want us to confirm one thing crap and one thing epic. And Jerry and I can rotate being the bad guy, because we'll rotate between crap and epic. And that could be anything from a studio to an actor to a publishing company, but you kind of get the picture. Jerry, does that sound pretty much kind of what we discussed?
Yeah, sounds good. I'm interested in trying something a little bit different. So,
is there anything you want to say to the listeners, in which they are out there, and we appreciate it? And many of you have been listening since episode 1. I can't believe it.
I know.
You're out there. But is there anything you want to say to the listeners as far as like while we are transitioning to this new format?
Again, I think Brad, you pretty much clarified it or said it all, that it's just going to be a chance to talk about a few different things, and doing this every week is, it's not long recording it, but I know you have to edit the podcast and taking the time to watch a movie every week, which I do. But when it's a movie like, oh, I have to watch this movie this week, sometimes it, just doesn't happen. Especially with
it changes how you watch.
Trying to work. I may be in the mood to watch something completely different, and I don't know. So I think it's going to work well. I'm excited to see what happens. We appreciate everybody who listens and comments on it, and we do it for fun, but I hope you enjoyed as well, that you enjoy, listening to us talk about things, and it just encourages you to, check out something maybe that you haven't watched or that we talk about, because, we certainly, read and listen to a lot of things and are encouraged to check out, stuff that's new to us. And I especially appreciate it when everybody comments as well. I've had a lot of folks commenting over at Action Figure Barbecue lately, and we always appreciate, comments and feedback. For all of us who are just doing this for fun and no payment, comments are kind of like just the little tips that you leave us that let us know you appreciate it or engage us in some way, and it just makes it even more fun to do.
And I should mention, we've been doing the retro rewinds. I think we got one of those dropping tomorrow and one more after that, and pretty much our whole back catalog will be available at theepicreview.com, thepicreview.com, on our YouTube page, at Confirmed Epic Podcast, actionfigurebarbecue.com, and Geeks Worldwide. I should mention, there will be weeks where we're like, okay, Star Wars Episode 9 is coming out this week, so we're going to talk about that the whole time. Like, we're still going to do movie reviews. Like, for example, when Halloween comes out, Jerry, I plan on making time to see that in the
Absolutely.
theater. And I think you do as well. And
we'll probably see it together.
I'm pretty sure, unless there's some
we'll get popcorn.
Unforeseen. Yeah, that's what I told Andrew today. But unless there's some unforeseen circumstances, like that will be a main topic.
Absolutely.
And I'm interested to ponder and to talk with you about what we'll do in October, because I'd had a list of horror movies kind of planned for Hokey Halloween horror, but it will be a lot. It won't be completely revolving around horror, but that'd be like probably 75% of what we talk about in the month of October and late September. I think you and I have some pretty good ideas for discussing franchises and things of that nature. And it will be a more discussion and topical base. So I think that about kind of wraps up where we want to go moving into the future. So we want to try to next week we want to do both of these things, but if we can do one, I'll be happy. Either record in person or record with Andrew. I had lunch with Andrew today, and he is going to try to make an effort to join us for episode 100. And if there's anything you want to see on 100, tweet me at The Real Brad Bell, DREEL, Brad Bell. Jerry, where can people find more of you on the internet this week?
Keep checking me out at actionfigurebarbecue.com. I haven't done a ton of reviews lately, but I've put a few up this week, including one of the new Star Wars Black Series figures, which is Clone Commander Wolf.
Yeah, and you can find this podcast pretty much wherever podcasts are available: iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, SoundCloud. Find our YouTube page. Find us at Geeks Worldwide, DGWW.com, ActionFigureBarbecue.com. That's barbecue spelled out, as Jerry mentioned. And, of course, at its official home at The Epic Review. That's THEpicReview.com. And once again, from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, we are out.
That's all I have to say about that.
This has been a production of the GWW Radio Network. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, check out Geeks Worldwide at thegww.com for all the latest news, reviews, and opinions on video games, comics, movies, TV, cosplay, and more. Geeks, assemble!